Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Lexi and today we're doing another psychic reading. So for today's psychic reading, we're doing one of the requests, which is, were sirens real or are sirens real? So like mermaid beings, water beings, are they real? That's what we're going to be taking a look at. So I'm going to jump straight in. So spirit guides, are sirens real? Please, spirit guides, are sirens real? Are sirens real? We have Temperance. I keep being shown the world, like the earth, as kind of like a labyrinth, and I'm being shown like you know, like in a house you have like an upstairs and a downstairs, and I'm being shown like as you go up each into each room or on each floor, I feel like I'm like opening up a kind of like what are they called, you know, like I feel like I'm opening up a little like box on the ground and I'm jumping up into like onto another floor. So it's not like stairs. I feel like I'm having to open something and go there. So I'm being shown like human beings where we are right now in this current timeline, and you know, the dimension that we're in. It's almost like we're just on a floor, and then I'm being shown like I'm zooming out, and then I'm being shown like a much bigger house with doors and rooms and things that, because we're on just one floor, we're not even aware that are there. We don't even know that they're there. And I keep being shown that because it's almost like you're not, I keep wanting to kind of like say like, you're not the only ones on earth, like you're not the only ones sharing this space. Okay, you might have the physical, you know, more like a physical element, but you're not the only ones here, and you never have been. That's what I'm being told. Spirit guides, do sirens exist, please, spirit guides? We have the 9 of Cups, we have the 4 of Wands. Do mermaids, do sirens exist, please? Please, spirit guides. Yeah, I'm just getting a yeah straight away, like yes. 4 of Wands, the Sun. I'm gonna pull one more just to put there. Do sirens exist? The water that we see is literally another realm. Like the ocean that we're looking at, it really is another realm. It's another world, basically. When you think of water being a frequency and then there's like a huge embodiment of that, like it's another realm, it's another world. And there's just because, like, for example, when we're here on land, there's other energies and other beings that are around us that we can't physically see with our senses. It's the same in the water. There are other beings and there are other entities and energies that we can't necessarily see because of our quote-unquote senses, if that makes sense. But the way, like how on land we have like cats and other animals that can kind of see spirit and see the energy, I'm being shown like you know, whales and dolphins and things also being able to have that susceptible eye to be able to see other beings and other, you know, other energies around. It's just another realm. And Spirit's saying, like, because human beings, you know, we're in the 3rd dimension, we're very focused on like me, we're very focused on like how, you know, life is to me. You know how like babies or like children when they play hide and seek, like they'll hide in such an obvious space but they'll close their eyes because in their mind life is only like what they're seeing. So if they close their eyes and they can't see, in their mind they think you can't see it. Spirit's almost referencing us like that. We're still in that mindset as human beings where it's like, if it doesn't walk like us, talk like us, think like us, then it just doesn't exist. It doesn't have a range of emotions, it doesn't have like a depth. Whereas I'm being shown like we already have that sometimes, not all of us, but we already do have that in terms of like sea creatures on earth and animals on earth. So it's like when it comes to the realms and other beings, whether it's like the fae and dragons and all of that, because I'm being shown like the different rooms with, you know, other different like energies, it's like there is more, you know what I mean? Because I keep being shown, and it's not just like the siren energy, so the mermaid energy, I'm being shown like like the fae and what we would call mystical creatures, right? I've got a dragon video coming up soon. And I'm being shown them like behind the doorways. So we're on this floor that we can't see them. But there would have been times where those doorways were opened. But I keep being shown human beings nabbing, like trying to take something. It's almost like, oh, well, you lost your privileges. Let me shut the door. That's kind of how I feel. Because I almost feel like I'm demonizing things that don't need to be demonized. Because I'm being shown, like, from the siren perspective now, I'm being shown like this is what I'm being shown back in the day, so like the old kind of ships, you know, from back in the day, and they're all wooden and stuff, and I feel like I'm in the middle of the ocean where there is nothing around me but water. So I'm being shown like the frequency being different, right? And because of that, I'm more susceptible to like seeing things, hearing things, because I'm kind of like glitching in between realms, if that makes sense. So I'm more susceptible, right? You know, when psychic gifts break, it's kind of like that, where I'm hearing things, I'm seeing things. So I feel like I'm in the water, and because I'm around that embodiment of the energy and that frequency, I'm starting to be more susceptible to things. And I'm hearing what to me kind of sounds like what you would think like a whale sounds like, or like a dolphin would sound like, but it's more like literally like a siren sound. It literally sounds like a frequency, but it also is kind of like mammal-like in its own way as well. It's not necessarily like singing, but I can kind of hear like a frequency or like a vibe. Like I can hear something like that. And I'm seeing people like hear things or even like see things, like glimpses. And then I feel like, you know, like we hear stories about like, oh, the shipwrecks and there was mermaids or whatever it was, sirens or whatever. I do think there's truth to that, but I think human beings have demonized it more than it needs to be, if that makes sense. Because it's almost like I feel like it's a knowledgeable fact, especially back in the day where I'm going out into the middle of the ocean and I am seeing things and I am more aware of, like, I can hear these sounds, or I almost feel like I'm feeling something, like because I'm being shown water spirits, but I feel very connected to them, and I almost feel kind of like drawn in there energetically. I don't know why. I feel like I'm being watched, but I'm on the ship in the middle of nowhere, but I feel like I'm being watched, but I'm not seeing like a physical, like how we would look at it, like, oh, a mermaid in a physical form. It's not that. It's more like a water, it's almost something without necessarily like a physical body. So it's almost like a spirit. So it's like a water spirit, basically. It's like the soul without the body. Like the same way that spirits can be around us, but they don't have a physical body. We have the fae, they don't have a physical body. It's like that. Like I'm being shown beings connected to the water. In the water all the time. Whenever you're in the water, it's there. But they're not physical. There's nothing physical here. But it's the same with like mediumship. If you were turned into that frequency, or you could tune your energy that way, you would be able to see it. You'd be able to see that. It's like, you know, like when you have those dog whistles and you can, like, human beings can't hear it, but dogs can. It's almost like, it's like a frequency, like, yeah, it's like it's like a frequency, like a call that I'm hearing, but you can only hear it if you're in a certain frequency. But I feel like the further we are out in the water, we can hear it. Yeah, that's what I'm being shown. And I'm being shown like islands. I'm being shown islands, especially islands near the equator, I'm being told. Or like anywhere where there's like land near water, but near, it feels like, I don't know why, specifically like near the equator. And I'm also thinking of the Caribbean, some of you guys say as well. I'm being shown that area as well. I almost feel like there's more of like a hotspot of like a frequency, or what energy tends to be a lot hotter for like water spirits or kind of like beings in terms of coming up to the surface. Because otherwise I feel like I'm in the depths, like I'm down in the you know, craters down at the bottom of the earth. I feel like because that's like my world. But I feel like when I come up to the surface, there's something to do with the equator. I'm thinking of the Caribbean as well. And I'm just thinking of like along the equator and lands where we're going into the ocean. If I'm coming up to the surface, it's usually kind of like where I'm going. But like in terms of like mass energy. So I'm being shown like almost like tribes of this energy kind of like coming through. If that makes sense. And there's just like a lot of watching, like, because you know how I said like you've lost your privileges, we're shutting the door. That's kind of how I feel throughout time. It's just like, right, you keep losing your privileges, so we're just going to shut the door. Like we were starting to harness this in and we're shutting the door. But I kind of feel, because I feel like I'm connected to the element of water, right? And I feel like I am watching a lot of like atrocities that human beings are doing, and I'm kind of observing. Like I keep feeling like I'm watching from the water, and I don't know why I'm more conscious and aware of like deaths that would happen in the water, especially in like large kind of like magnitudes. And I feel like I'm watching it, and then like I'm capable of like those deeper human emotions, because I feel like there's definitely a polarity here, because I feel grief, I feel disgust, I kind of feel sad. There's like a frustration as well in terms of the water, that I almost feel like it's not just me. Like I feel like from the water spirit energy, like I feel this, but then I feel like, I don't know why I'm thinking of like the other animals that have a physical form. So like whales and dolphins, like we look at them like, well, they can't speak, but they can speak a frequency, and they are aware of emotions and frequency. Because I don't know why feelings are being passed on to me. Like I'm seeing something happen and I feel that kind of grief, and it's making me think of like recently there's been like loads of sharks coming to the surface, or there's been, I don't know whether it was whales, sharks or dolphins that were tipping a boat over, because I don't know why I feel like in terms of the waters there's like an underlying feeling of like anger or frustration, or like I feel grief when something happens, like, or something's happening, because I kind of feel like, I don't know why, it's so weird. I'm looking at like mammals. It's not necessarily like fish, it's mammals being a messenger of some sort. I don't know what that's about, but I almost feel like that water spirit energy, there's no physical form, relaying a frequency and emotion, mammals picking it up. And I don't know why I feel like I'm relaying that towards the land, and I don't know what that's about, but it's making me think of those people in the boat that got kind of capsized because there was like sharks or dolphins trying to like knock it over. There's something there. It's almost like that we need their attention. These beings can go, or like these whales can go, or these dolphins can. There's something there that I'm being shown. I don't know what that is. Because I almost feel like I'm able to create a kind of warning in the physical, but I don't know why I keep waving my hands and no one's listening. I almost feel like back in the day we were way more in tune with like signs. We take it more like a premonition sort of thing, whereas now we kind of like, you're reaching. Whereas like back in the day I feel like we would have taken it on a lot more. I keep feeling like I'm waving and there's confusion, like people are kind of, and it's great to have logic, of course. We're meant to have logic, of course. But like, I almost feel like I'm showing things as signs and no one's listening, or like no one's even taking it on now. That's kind of like how I feel. Because I'm thinking, there's these fish, I don't know if it's in China. It was somewhere in the east where like if they come up to the surface, it was like an omen for something, and I keep being shown that in my mind's eye. I almost feel like I'm doing things with marine life, or I'm making something happen in the physical, not like on a large scale like tsunamis or anything like that. It feels like it's to do with like marine life, and I'm doing things to get attention, and in the past this would get your attention, but now it's not, because there seems to be an underlying feeling of frustration right now. In terms of the water energy, I feel like I'm trying to like wave my hand and be like, hello, like why are you not listening, and like I feel like I'm using mammals, it's mammals specifically. I feel like I'm using mammals to kind of give a message, but no one's listening. And back in the day they would have listened, at least, even though we had to shut the door on them, they would have at least listened. I don't know why I feel like they're not listening. It's just too chaotic. They're not listening to me. Because I feel like they work in unison. It's like, well, this is my world too. you're not the only ones. You know, I feel like we're kind of confined. I literally feel like we're like confined to that floor at the moment, and all the doors are locked on them. Some of them get to peek through the keyhole, and some of them do have conversations through the doorways. But they're kind of confined there. That's kind of like the feeling. But they feel like they're in unison with us, but it's almost like where you keep demonizing us. There's something there, like you're demonizing us, and it's not just us. You're doing it with other entities and beings. You keep demonizing anything that isn't how you're looking at it, because I'm looking at it from the child perspective, the human child perspective, where they're like, I'm going to close my eyes and I can't see. It's almost like, unless it's the way I look at it, then it's not real. There's that sort of thing. And now what I'm going to do, since that's coming through, I'm going to give a voice to that. What is the message, please, from the water spirits that they're trying to get through? What are they trying to connect us to that we're not listening to? What is the message from the water spirits? What is the message from the water spirits? We have Judgment. What is the message from the water spirits, please? King of Cups. 10 of Pentacles. 6 of Cups. And we have the 4 of Cups. The back of the deck, we have the Knight of Cups. Okay, Judgment, King of Cups, 10 of Pentacles, the 9 of Wands, and the 4 of Cups. Okay. I'm not gonna lie, like there is this feeling from this energy where I feel like I'm looking at beings that are quite ignorant in terms of like them to us. Like they're very ignorant and very like, they're very focused on just what's in front of them. They're not zooming out. And it's not like in a frustrative, like, ooh, they're ignorant. It's just like they're being, like they're ignorant. They're not paying attention, because I feel like I feel like nature around me is also giving messages in terms of like, I'm hearing like Mother Gaia is kind of screaming. And this isn't like to fearmonger. It's like everything's calling out to you all to get you to shake up. Like I'm being shown, and it's up to you guys if you believe in like climate change or anything like that, but because I know some people don't believe in it, but I keep being shown like the temperatures being off the scale, and you know, like how we've had turbulence be a lot worse than how it usually is, and like I keep feeling like I'm looking at the land and it's like it's screaming, and it's like you're so disconnected, you're not paying attention. Like you're just like you were disconnected, but now you're disconnected. And as well, I'm thinking of like social media and how we kind of like live in that kind of like world as well. It's almost like you're really distracted. You're not like, we're meant to connect to like the lands on earth. Like, okay. I think human beings are meant to be kind of like keepers of the land on earth. I think that's why we have a physical form like that. I think we're meant to understand our physical form and learn to nurture it and root it into like the land we're on. I think we're meant to kind of like take care of land, take care of animals, take care of nature. And they're almost like coming through like, we're connected to the water element. We connect to the water element and we take care of the water element, like the frequency. You're meant to be doing that on land. You're disconnecting, and now it's affecting the water element. Because think of all the waste that goes into the waters, and think of like in the last couple 100 years, like how much plastic or whatever has gone into the waters. It's like you're now dirty in our part. You're dirty in our part. Like that's kind of like how it's coming through. Your role is meant to be rooted in community and the lands, and you keep looking at it from the perspective of, oh, animals move in tribes and this moves in tribes and we should be like that, but you're forgetting animals and all of that, like you're part of them. And it's not a case of like we're meant to be like that. You are part of that. And the same way that insects and animals all have their reason and like for being here, like the bees, and they pollinate, and you know, they all have a part of the ecosystem. You're meant to take care and nurture and take care of that land. You're meant to be present and in communities and creating balance. That's the purpose of you being here as humans, like in this land. That's why you have access to that third dimension. And we're here with that water energy, and I'm being shown a connection to the moon as well, and we're connecting to that, and we're connecting to like the marine life, and we're moving in that aspect, and there's large quantities of us there. But you are not doing what you came here to do. You're disconnected. It's all coming out of balance because you're not taking care of your land, your crops, your foods. You're not taking care of it. And it's affecting this realm. It's affecting the waters. It's affecting all of this. And now it's a squiff. But if you root back in and you connect, then there's more of a balance. We're doing what we're meant to do. You're doing what you're meant to do. They're looking at us almost like brotherly, sisterly. Almost like that. It's almost like a brotherly, sisterly type of thing. It's like one and the same. We're doing this, you're doing this. But it's like you're not holding up, and it's not a case of your end of the bargain. It's like that's what you're here for, type of thing. That's why the bees grow. That's why the ladybirds do what they do, and that's why these animals do what they do. Human beings are like kind of like keepers and nurturers, and that's what you're here to do, and you're not doing it, and then it's affecting the waters. It directly affects the waters. We're meant to work in unison. Not only are you now in this part of the house, like the floor, and you've had like the doors have kind of shut because there was a disconnect, so it's like let's just let them go inward and then the doors can open. You're still on a large scale, and I say you're because even if like you're like, well, I do grow my own food, it's meant to be globally. We're all meant to be doing it, and we need to understand like we are all one. Even if some of us are doing that part or whatever, we are all one. So we're all one kind of collective in terms of like a human being, just like ladybirds are all one. You know, there could be a few ladybirds doing their part, but if the other ones aren't and following their own rhythm, or if there's a few bumblebees following their own rhythm but the rest are going rogue, it's going to have a lasting effect. And I keep being shown all the animals like plugged in, kind of like doing what they're meant to be doing, and then it's like there's some, you know, human beings like plugged in and doing what they're meant to be doing, but then there's also a lot that aren't, and that's why I'm like waving, because it's like you're not like paying attention, or you're not listening, or there's frequencies coming through, you're not even tapping into them. Like you're distracted. You keep getting distracted. You're like busy bees, but like you're not actually meant to be that way. And I feel like I'm waving at you to get the attention, and I keep watching like catastrophes happen. I don't know why I'm thinking of that submarine thing last year. What was it called? The Titan submersive thing. And I don't know why I'm being shown like I feel like I'm viewing, and I'm almost like giving little intuitive nudges for something not to happen, but it's like you're distracted over things because it's like you're disconnecting from the intuition and you know the gut, your inner kind of like gut telling you don't do this, don't do that. You're distracting yourself from that, or you're looking at it like this is profitable, and it's like it's creating the disconnect, and then there's catastrophes, and I'm like watching it and I'm like, well, that could have been avoided. That didn't have to go that way. And I'm watching it. And I think that's the message they're trying to get to us right now. I feel like I feel like over the next 10 years, we're going to see a lot of things show up like in the water, or we're going to have like a lot of, like, I don't mean, it doesn't feel like on a large scale, like a tsunami or anything like that. And I'm not fear mongering. It's mostly they're trying to get our attention, right? You know, like how a bird will flap in the window to get the attention. It's almost like water spirits, but I'm bringing mammals forward and certain sea creatures forward that can bring a message in some sort of way, whatever that would mean. And I am being shown as well frequencies being sent through for certain souls that would tap into it to have a stronger focus on like marine life and kind of cleaning it up. and tapping back into nature in certain ways. I feel like I'm dropping little rain droplets, and it's like, oh, you should be doing this, you should be doing that. So if any of you have been called to like connect with the land more, you know, and really be conscious of like maybe what like things you're like buying and what type of ingredients are in what, or like who is it hurting. If there's been a conscious effort there, I feel like you are the ones then would have tapped into that. I feel like it's sprinkling everywhere, but there's certain people gonna catch the wave first, and so on and so on, because I keep being shown like little raindrops. But it's almost like you're only responding to physical things, so I feel like we're just gonna have to distract you the same way that other things distract you. We're gonna have to really do something to get your attention. So there's like little things there. So I'm thinking of like mammals and sea creatures that also are aware of this, like, and little things happening, and that's why I keep thinking of that shit, the sharks or the whales or whatever it was that were capsizing the boat. And it's like, oh my god, listen, like the land you're on screaming and you're not paying attention, like listen. There's a feeling there where there's like somewhat of a frustration, but it's like you need to like connect back. It's so simple, like connect back, you know what I mean? And I keep being told everything's reversible to a degree, in terms of like some of the things that we're doing is like it can be reversed. Think of it from a frequency perspective, it can be reversed. Of course not in the sense of maybe like species that we're losing, because I know a lot of species are going extinct, not from that degree. But like in other, you know, in other areas, I feel like there's some things that can be reversed because Mother Gaia is always replenishing. But it's like we're creating chaos quicker than it can be replenished. And I keep feeling like I'm screaming to get the attention. So yeah, I feel like sirens are real. I feel like water spirits are real. I feel like they're around us all the time. I feel like it's similar to human beings in the sense that there's collectives of water beings and water spirits. There seems to be a hotspot along the equator, anywhere where there's like land going into water, along the equator. Like I said, the Caribbean feels like there's a focus there, and I feel just anywhere where you'd live near water, I feel like there would be like a focus, because I feel like I'm more connected to kind of like the land. But I feel like I am water. I feel like I'm an element necessarily. I'm more of a frequency. I don't see a physical body. I don't see mermaid tails running around anywhere. Maybe from a frequency perspective, so maybe if you were down there for quite a while, you might be able to see some sort of form. But if we were to look at it from a human being perspective, there's no physicality to anything that I'm being shown. It's more frequency, but there are sounds. Think of like how sometimes when spirit bring messages, it can be in light language, so it sounds like a language we've never heard. It feels like that, but it's making me think of like sea creature noises and mammal noises, like whales. But it's like I'm saying something, but you're taking it in that way. And I do think that back in the day, there were sightings of things, especially when they were in the water for a really long time. Think of like pirates and stuff, like they were in the water for long periods of a time. They're going to get accustomed to a frequency, so they'd be able to see things more, or they'd be able to hear things more. And I think they might have seen things, but for some reason I'm being told that we might have demonized them. That's not to say there might have been some energies and entities that might have been a bit playful or trickstery, especially if they were getting frustrated, because they seem to have similar emotions to us. So there's that kind of like trickstery sort of vibe to a degree. But as a whole, collectively, I just think they're trying to get our attention right now. It's like, we're doing our job, why aren't you doing your job? You know, it's kind of like a sibling sort of like, I'm doing my part, why are you distracted? You know what I mean? I feel like we're the naughty sibling, not doing what we're meant to be doing, but it's affecting that realm, or the ocean, I guess. And I always like to say the ocean is another world. So I feel like it's like we're spewing out and affecting something else. We're on land for a reason, and we're not listening to that reason. We're not tuning in to what we're meant to be doing as human beings, which is tuning into our bodies and the land and connecting there. We're overcomplicating things. I'm being told we're overcomplicating things way too much. Yeah. Well, that went a completely different way than I expected. I didn't expect messages, to come through. And I really wanted to give way to that, because I felt like they're telling us that we're kind of ignoring messages and signs, and then to kind of like shut it off without giving way to what message they wanted to bring through, I felt like that would have been pretty ignorant to do. I wanted to give the voice to that. So that was really interesting. Let me know what you think about the reading. If you've ever channeled anything similar, please let me know. And yeah, comment down below if there's any other readers as well that have channeled something similar or have a different perspective, because like I say in my description boxes, you know, we're all looking at things through different lenses. We can all have different perspectives of the same topics. So even if you have something different, put it down in the comments, because that's what we're here to do, kind of put the pieces together. So yeah, please comment down below as well if you have any suggestions of what you'd like me to do. I think the next video I'm going to do is how Mother Gaia feels about human beings. Someone commented that the other day. Thank you to the person who mentioned that, and I think it would be very fitting to do after this one. I think that would be a good progression into that. And then I want to take a look at dragons as well, and if they were ever real. So yeah, if you have any suggestions, let me know, and I hope you enjoyed, and I'll speak with you soon.